wasn't in being a warrior. It came from knowing what was in his heart. He recognized what was right and he stood up for it.
The Ring.
It's the loneliness that's a killer. So you want to be free, to live your life the way you wanna be. Will you give if we cry? Will we live or will we die?
Hello, this is Nicholson1968. Welcome to part 2 of Carbon Copy The Return. Well, it's been a little while since I released part 1, and I got a lot of emails, a lot of comments, a lot of feedback, and I appreciate it. One thing I wanted to share with you, I get all the time, is like, Nicholson, I like the music video that you do. I like the ones where you don't really talk and you do the text, and then I like, I get all different kinds of feedback. And just to answer some of that, so I don't have to email hundreds of people, is I deliver a message differently almost every time. I do different things because here's the thing. People receive information differently. Some may receive it in a music video. Some receive it in a sermon. Some like videos that I decode things or whatever. So that's what I don't want to be put in a box per se and labeled, of how I deliver and share information. So that's why I do it differently. I don't just, when you come here, I want you to go, okay, what's Nicholson? How is he going to present it this time? Is it going to be, Sound of Silence, of transhumanism with the old Paul and Simon and Garfunkel music, just things like that. So I just wanted to address that. Before I spoke, I showed you scenes from Justice League, which is a continuation from Superman versus Batman. And I've tried to wait and to see if anybody has caught this from the movie Superman versus Batman, but I haven't seen it. Doesn't mean it's not out there. I haven't seen it at all. And I wanted to point out something very significant in this movie, which speaks to what I'm going to talk to later, is the return. The return of who? And that return is speaking of Jesus Christ. And I want you to listen to the video all the way. Even if you're not a believer in Christ or you're not a spiritual person, there is a message being told in Superman versus Batman that they steal from the scripture, plain and simple. And there's a reason I'm also going to touch on it, is why does Christ return? And the churches are not doing a good job at all of telling mankind what is going on because they've been infiltrated, greed. I mean, church is a business now. It's not about telling the truth. And some of them don't even know the truth. I'm not knocking all churches. I'm not knocking all religions. I'm not knocking all pastors. But the majority, mainstream religion, churches and pastors, are not doing their job. They're not touching on what the enemy is up to. And people have a hard time out there. Well, we don't want to worry about that. Well, you better, because the first rule of war, art of war, is know thy enemy. If you have no clue what the enemy is up to, then how do you battle it? Do you just sit back and you have to do your part? And knowing what the enemy is up to, that's why I'm sharing since 1999 on my blog, since 2007 on YouTube, transhumanism, technology, humanity is being led down a path with technology to be controlled, period. Actually controlled. It's deeper than mind control. It's physically control the body with frequencies, tones, mixing of man and machine. It's coming. And people have followed me for years know this. But so if you're new to this, you might want to catch up for your children's children. Say what's coming. So before I get to the return and why he has to return, let's focus on right now. I'm going to share with you why does he have to return. It's this technology that he has to break up and destroy. I touched on it in part 1. It's cube worship. You may be saying to yourself, if you're new, what is cube worship? It has to do with Saturn, the North Pole of Saturn. This has been going on for thousands of years. North Pole of Saturn has a cube shape on the North Pole. Now, do I believe there's a Saturn with a North Pole and a cube shape on it? Don't know. I've never been there myself. I have no clue. All I'm sharing this information with you is why the enemy of humanity believes it. What they believe. They believe in Saturn has a North Pole, cube on it. That's why there's so much cube worship around the world. This is where they believe the information of technology, knowledge is coming from, and where they're getting it from. This cult has never stopped. Its rites are still present to this day. Saturn is dubbed the Lord of the Rings. Where do you think the movie comes from? You need to look at the deeper things behind this stuff. The Lord of the Rings is the reason why we exchange rings at weddings. We put halos on the heads of godly people. I mean, this is all in your face. Since ancient times, sages gazed at the stars, admiring their heavenly glow and attributing them godly powers based on their effect on humans. Before the Great Flood, Saturn was regarded by all mankind as the supreme god and ruler of the kings in the sky at that time. This is what they claim. The occult researchers affirm that Saturn ruled the kingdom of Atlantis and became the divine ancestor of all earthly patriarchs and kings. The cult has been perpetuated through numerous gods during antiquity, such as Kronos, Saturn, Hyperion, Atlantis, Hercules, were all connected with the great Saturn continent. They were kings that ruled over countries on the western shores of the Mediterranean, Africa, and Spain. Okay? Notice this about cube symbolism and cube worship when it's used for this purposes. Technology, always revolving. If you see cube symbolism, it has to do with technology somewhere. Knowledge, technology, intelligence. Then the spiritual aspect of cube symbolism is in religion, signifying other realms, other dimensions. And then the third one is always sound and frequency, cube symbolism, or music videos. You'll see it in music videos, cube symbolism. So you have those three major things that cube symbolism runs through: technology, spirit, religion, sound, frequencies, tones. All those three things. And that's what you need to realize. Not everything that is a cube is evil. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that there is symbolism that is used in those three sectors all the time. When you see it, it'll be there almost all the time if it's used in an occult way to send a message. You look around Mecca, they walk around a black cube. Look at Jewish rabbis, Wailing Walls. What do they have on their head? Black cube. I have a page devoted to cube worship. Again, I'm going to say this. Whether you want to believe it or not doesn't mean a thing. They believe it. That's why they do, and what they do for certain reasons is because of their beliefs and the way they have been taught in secret society, things that have been handed down secretly, not on paper. You're not going to see a documentary. You're not going to, that's the reason why they get away with what they do. It's communicated orally and through symbols and signs and other things other than the way we're taught. Mainstream. We're taught to write things down, put it in a book, all of this stuff. I'm going to show a bunch of clips, and here's the thing you need to think about when I show you these things. Is this just coincidence? Is Nicholson just reaching? Or is it legitimately what they know and they show it, they put it in your face, They communicate with each other. As you look on the screen, if you're listening and you're not watching the screen, if you're driving down the road and you're listening, you need to look at the screen, because I'm going to tell you a story without telling you a story. I'm going to show you a story. You better connect the dots. You better understand who rolls with what. This brotherhood that I'm speaking of, Saturn, Cube, goes back to secret societies, Luciferianism, Satanism, all the same, different symbolism in certain degrees. But you better connect the dots. And here's the other thing, that just listen to what I just said. They communicate with each other. See, a lot of people go, why do they put this stuff in our faces? Well, some of us can see it. But the reason they put it out in movies, media, news, music videos, whatever, it is to communicate with each other. It's not necessarily for us, the mainstream. See, that's the thing. They put the stuff out because they communicate with each other through this type of media. See, you're looking at one thing, but they're seeing another. Just remember that. It's not like, I mean, sometimes they're mocking, definitely.
Have you got what it takes to beat the Cube?
But most of the time it's out there for the secret societies, the people behind the scenes that know who they are, quite well who they are, that receive the information. So I'm going to go into a clip called Singularity with John Cusack. Now I want you to notice something. John Cusack, they put actors in certain roles to push agendas. He was also in the movie Sail with Samuel L. Jackson. Okay? He was in the movie Sail that through phone signals, phone towers, for a time, it controlled people, took over, controlled their mind with frequencies, tones. Singularity, this movie that came out, the system that is being pushed worldwide to control, to have the network in this movie is Kronos, is the name of the system. Kronos, yes. Remember what I just talked about? Kronos and Saturn. All the same. So I'm going to play this clip. I want you to hear it. But then, remember in the first, you got to watch my first Carbon Copy Part 1, I opened with an intro, the visual intro from a Netflix, a series called Altered Carbon. And in that, I'm going to show you something very, very slick they do. And this is what I'm saying. Lets you know who they get their information from. Where is the technology that I'm speaking of? Where's it coming from? Is it coming from God? Is it coming from good spirits? No. This technology for control of humanity, that's why Satan is called the Prince of the Air. It's bad stuff. And you need to know about it. So let me play this clip from Singularity. Be right back.
I stand before you to announce the first true artificial intelligence, Kronos. Tonight, this night, we enter a new age.
You know what Kronos is capable of.
Capable of saving Earth from self-destruction.
A century ago, they were activated. Super machines programmed to eradicate a plague that was destroying our planet. Us.
Well, there you go. In a nutshell, a little trailer there for you. The plague that riddles the earth are humans that have to be wiped out by the AI that was created by humans. Sounds familiar? Sounds science fiction? You might want to rethink that.
Okay, so my previous company was D-Wave. I'll just show you a couple things. We built what are still the world's only quantum computers that you can buy. I did that for about 15 years. It was a lot of fun. A big science project that we turned into a commercial entity. That was a warm-up for Kindred. So Kindred is much, much, much more ambitious than D-Wave. And what Kindred is trying to do is build real AI. So what you've heard about AI is not what we mean by AI. What we mean by AI is a software system that can do literally anything that a human can do. Literally anything. And obviously computers are better at things than people in lots of different ways. So now imagine, not only can they do everything that a human can do, but they can do everything that the best human at any task could do better than them.
I stand before you to announce the first true artificial intelligence, Kronos. Tonight, this night, we enter a new age.
We are right on the verge of that transition now. So when this thing that I'm talking about happens, it's going to be exactly the thing that you're thinking about those super intelligent AIs. So the one thing I can tell you is they're not going to be like us. So alien means, different. These things that we're building are not going to be people. They might be really smart, they might be really good at all sorts of different things, but they're not going to be like us. They're going to be aliens. And they're going to be, I'm sorry to say, way smarter than every single person in this room, in ways that we can't even comprehend. So this, of course, triggers a lot of alarm. One of the guys who talks about this is Elon, who says things like this, like, when you do this, beware, because you think, just like the guy in the stories, that when you do this, you're going to put that little guy in a pentagram, and you're going to have your holy water out, and you're going to wave it at the thing, and by God, it's going to do exactly what you say and not one thing more, but it never works out that way. So this is an attitude that some are having, this emerging alarmism about the way this is going to go. But these words, demons, doesn't capture the essence of what's happening here. Yes, there are these massively intelligent entities out there, but they're not good, they're not evil. They just don't give a shit about you even in the slightest. The same way that you don't care about an ant is the same way they're not going to care about you. And these things that we're summoning into the world now are not demons, they're not evil, but they're more like the Lovecraftian great old ones. There are entities that are not necessarily going to be aligned with what we want. So this transition is really, really massively important for our entire species to navigate. And going back to that thing that Sam Harris was saying, nobody is paying attention. This thing is happening in the background while people bicker about politics and what's going to be in the healthcare plan in the US. And underneath it all is this rising tsunami that, if we're not careful, is going to wipe us all out.
So there you go. In Gordy Rose's own words, they're summoning things. He's trying to tell you that they're not evil. They're not demons. They don't, whatever he can explain it away, it is what it is. And you have to know the truth about it. For you guys that are in the truth movement or awake, you've probably heard this before. This is nothing new. I just wanted to share this from newcomers that's never heard things about Saturn, Lord of the Rings, cube worship. It's all the same. Kronos, it doesn't matter. It's just packaged a different way. So you needed to hear this stuff. This stuff that we're messing with and summoning we're not supposed to. That's the bottom line. But I want to make some connections, as I promised here. What you're looking at on the screen, the first painting is by Francisco Goya. It's called Saturn Eating His Son. The other one, which was probably inspired by Francisco, is by Peter Paul Rubens, Saturn Devouring His Son. So both of these paintings, same thing. They're showing they're eating their offspring. And why are they eating their offspring? Where does this come from? The myth. It's a Greek myth that was foretold that one of sons of Saturn would overthrow him. So Saturn, or Kronos, believed that if he ate his children moments after each was born, that would, kill the prophecy as predicted, that he would not be overthrown. So that's the Greek myth. All right. So let's move forward into the Holy Scripture, Revelation 12:2. I'll read this to you. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman, and she being with child cried, travailing in birth and pain to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, and the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. And she brought forth a man-child, who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron, and her child was caught up unto God and to his throne. So there you go. So you got Scripture telling you that someone is trying to destroy someone being born here that's going to rule over the red dragon or Satan, Kronos, whatever it is. And what I tell you about the Greek myth is Kronos, Saturn, dragon, eating its tail, going around, Lord of the Rings. He thinks he can stay in control if he devours and destroys. Now, I'm going to take you to Altered Carbon, which is in part 1 that I showed you from a Netflix series. Is throughout the show, they sneak these pictures in the background. Why? Is it just random? That's what I want to show you, is nothing is random with certain things. They use it as symbolism. I'm going to show you these couple of clips here. And as you show, I'm spanning through. Look, it's right here in front of you. If you don't know what you're looking for, of course, it's just a random painting. But see, this is what is really going on. The one game is, a lot of people say there's no Jesus, there's no Satan. Okay, so if that's what you want to believe, that's on you. I'm trying to show you stuff that the enemy believes. Now, whether it's true or not, it doesn't matter. But it affects us because they believe it, and they bring forth things, and they put it out there to manifest. Is exactly what's going on here now. Is the snake eating its tail, Saturn eating his sun. It is trying to circumvent the prophecy, because Jesus Christ has to come back to destroy this and overthrow this. Do you understand? They know what is going on, folks. They know. What do you think CERN in Switzerland is all about? Do you think they're just out there trying to find the God particle and nothing more to that? Wrong. It's about changing events, time. Kronos, known as Father Time in Greek mythology. Mandela effect. Whether you believe that or not, that's on you, but they're trying to change events, trying to change our reality here in this realm to stop the prophecy. That's why there's a statue of Shiva in front of CERN there, the serpent eating its tail. It's all connected. That's all it is just connect the dots of what is trying to be done here. And people out there that are pretending that, I get it, I understand it, but listen to me, that I know you don't like organized religion. I get it. I don't either. But the truth is the truth about Jesus Christ having to return to break this up. And they know it. The demons know it. The evil know it. Evil men know it. The things that are in Ephesians 6:12, principalities on high that are not flesh and blood, that we battle against. So I'm just trying to show you from a, not a religious freak perspective. I'm trying to tell you real stuff that's being worked on that is hidden and packaged a different way. And when you get down to the root of it, you see what's going on. I'm going to share another clip with you that's coming out that is very interesting as well, and then I'll be right back.
Mission Control, we have a visual on Mars. Brace for entry. Engage artificial intelligence support.
Commencing circular rotation maneuver.
Mission Control to Martian 1, do you copy?
Crash investigation should include the government's lead investigator.
But people need answers.
The families need answers. The people can wait.
Good morning, Mission Supervisor Mackenzie Wilson.
Good morning, Artie.
I'm pleased to report that all systems are nominal on the Mars lander craft.
Let's see if we could find out what happened.
Let's give it a shot. Launch countdown initiated.
What the? Why are we launching 5 hours early? Who authorized it?
I did.
Artie's taking lead on the crash investigation. You are living in his world now.
We created AI to help us, not to lead us.
AI needs to be smart, not human.
I have an origin unknown.
What are we looking at?
How can that be real?
Artificial intelligence or alien intelligence?
Be prepared for every possibility.
Warning. Unidentified satellite detected. Firing.
Please tell me I'm hallucinating.
Sorry, Mackenzie. I'm Mission Controller. Are we friends?
Who knows what it's capable of?
This is an international incident.
No, no, no. You have to stop them.
The human race must adapt or perish.
It's everything we were warned about.
There it is in a trailer. The Cube from a movie just released, 2036, Origin Unknown. So, everything that I've been talking about, even in the trailer it says, we were warned. You know what? You're warned. If you've been following me for 15 years, you've been warned. It's AI, everything technology where man takes it too far, and it's a danger. I'm not against technology in general. It's just taking technology so far and allowing it to have too much access.
2 months ago, Victor found out the university had one of these and stole it.
Some sort of virtual...
It's a little more complicated.
So she's hooked up to this thing and she's what?
She's somebody else.
You all right? Think of it as a way to try new things. You can learn a lot about yourself from other people. Explore your limitations.
How does Jenny afford that place?
Need money?
Not what I asked.
Been thinking about giving you a raise.
It's a bit of money. We do it all the time.
Don't push them and just see what they do when they really think they're alone.
It's okay.
Could find you a bigger house.
Who are you?
I'm so sorry for your loss. Why aren't you doing anything?
What does it look like I'm trying to do?
Can you just connect him? Why don't we just... Oh, we've never done that before.
I feel like I'm going insane.
Just don't lose yourself in there.
You know, you've changed, man.
I don't want to die.
Well, I hope you're starting to put the pieces together. There's another trailer for you, In Control, another movie, Black Cube, controlling. It's all about control and merging the virtual world with the real world. That's the end game here. The one game is the battle for your soul, humanity, trying to control it and manipulate it. So now to the real reason behind the return and the good news. I've shown all of this stuff, the negative stuff, the real enemy in our faces in this realm, and the good news. And it has to do with the return. What am I talking about? Is the return of Christ for his bride. The bride is the church, his people. Speaks of that in Ephesians 5:25-27. Husbands, love your wives, as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her, that he might sanctify her, having cleansed her by washing of water with the word, so that he might present the church to himself in splendor, without spot or wrinkle or any such. And this is why I wanted to share with you that the enemy knows the truth, and they use Scripture to tell a story and twist it. In Batman versus Superman, Superman is symbolism for the Christ figure there. Notice in the movie, he is held up as a false god. The world turns against him. They don't believe him. He is held into court to testify, tell a story. He actually comes up against a foe, and he dies. But he kills this foe, kills this enemy, to save the world. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? But one thing happens is he dies, but then he is resurrected. He comes back to life, which is in the next movie, Justice League. And he comes back, but here's what's very interesting that most people don't catch. This is what I wanted to share with you. Is in the movie, he sends a wedding ring to Lois Lane, which was his girlfriend at the time. So he sends it, and it's symbolism. He sends it in the mail knowing he's probably going to die. And after his death, she receives it, opens up the package, and it's a wedding ring. But it's to let her know that he's returning for his bride. And one day they will be married. It's right there in front of everybody's face. They don't make the connections. Like I said, I don't know if anybody's touched on that, but I wanted to share that. And it is very important right now that you get your house in order. That he will return for his bride. And the enemy knows it. I've shown all of this stuff in these two projects and my work for the last 10 to 15 years showing. And a lot of people out there don't want to believe it. They want to keep going down the path that other people wrote the Bible and all of this stuff. And it's only because organized church and religion don't have the answers, and they're not teaching the truth. You have to understand Genesis 6:4. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days and afterwards. That's number one. You better understand it. If you don't, you need to research it. Number two, don't you know that we get to judge angels? We're not going to judge good angels. We're judging bad angels. Why? Find out. Connect a dot. A lot of people think that God is a vicious God because he told us to wipe out other tribes and things like that. Well, guess what? If you understood the mix of the Nephilim with that bloodline and why it had to be wiped out, we're not talking about humans wiping out humans. We're talking about something much deeper than that. So when it's taught incorrectly, then you see it as God is a vicious God and he just wants to kill other people and other races. It has nothing to do with that. It's totally misunderstood and totally twisted. There was a bloodline, a race here on this earth that was corrupted. And then that's the truth. And once you understand that and you connect the dots and what is going on with technology, transhumanism, the body, the mind, the stuff that is being tampered with in present day, right now, then you get it. The one game. Everything else is smoke and mirrors. Love you guys. Appreciate you being patient. I hope you enjoyed Part 2, Carbon Copy, The Return.
Clark had this sent here so he could surprise you.
I won't give up.